Playing Games. I'm Jason.
I'm Peter.
And we have with us this week Jog Brogzin, the Chet Minton of Ireland. We'll explain that later. And I don't know, is Watford on the screen?
I don't know what that is.
Is Watford on the screen? Don't know.
There he is. You can see him.
And Watford. And yes, I am wearing a t-shirt of Jog's art right here. We will get into that. So the stories for this week. Traveler, this is really exciting. I'm very excited about this first story. Mm-hmm. Traveler spins off into the near future with a new RPG called Pioneer. Stranger Things creator Sean Levy and his eyebrows discuss live-action D&D series for Netflix. A very strange case of harassment on Kickstarter. And speaking of Kickstarter again, Kickstarter United, that's their union, has ended a 6-week strike. And they got all they were asking for, it looks like. So that's wonderful for them. Great. And of course, Jog is here as our special guest of honor. And that will be our main story as we look at all of the work that Jog does as a map maker and artist. So let's dive in. All right.
Okay. And Pioneer.
Hey, Linda. All right. We see the chat starting to open up. All right. First of all, for those people who are listening on audio, I'm going to describe the images we're seeing. I really love this. A couple of astronauts floating tethered in an extra, what do they call that when they go out in a spacewalk?
EVA, extravehicular activity.
Yes, thank you. So they're doing an EVA. It looks very almost what's that Apple TV series of when they go to the moon in the 1960s? For All Mankind. For All Mankind. So it looks like a scene out of For All Mankind. It's got a beautiful logo with sort of the looks like the orbits of the planets maybe are overlaid over it. Anyway, so Pioneer is a new RPG, but it is based on Traveler, which Mongoose owns now. So what they've done is they've taken the Traveler mechanics, but they've put it into a near future space setting. So only 10 or 20 years in the future. It's designed by Dr. Sandy Antunes or Antunes, or I pronounce everything wrong, so who knows. With development by Chris Griffin and Gear Lanix, another person. I should practice.
Lannis Cog.
Thank you. Anyway, so what looks amazing about this is they're going with the Traveler system, but bringing it all into the kind of physics that we know today, the kind of technology that is just right around the corner. And it says here that the designer actually has a NASA background, giving it a lot more credibility in the sort of space opera versus realistic thing. And you know, Traveler as a sci-fi RPG has always been more on the realistic end of the spectrum between space opera and sci-fi. So how far will they go with this is going to be a big question.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think of space games, RPGs that have been released, and I'm just talking about the ones that are popular because there's so many, right? But when you think of the ones that most people know of, you know, you have games that are more like fantastic driven, so they don't worry so much about the science. You got laser guns, pew, pew,
Starfinder, or Spelljammer, or
right, and
Gamma
then
World.
And then on the other end, you have, you know, the sort of like you had Traveler was like the big hard sci-fi game. So to say that this one is even more hard sci-fi is cool. I like it. You know,
I feel like this would be your kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm a hard sci-fi guy. I love hard sci-fi.
Will we still be able to die on character creation?
It's got to happen. That has to be. I mean, you cannot have a Traveler version if the character creation can't kill you.
Oh my God, they're never going to live that down, are they?
It's great. I mean, it is really cool that they managed to make a mini game out of character creation, basically.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever played On Guard?
Yeah, I think I played it with you.
It was a game from the 70s. And still is a game from the 70s. You can still buy it. And its core setting is, I don't know what era. It's sometime in the era when France had aristocrats. So maybe 17th century or early 18th century. And the whole
1600s, yeah.
Yeah. So that time with all of the rouge and the powdered wigs and the licentiousness and things. And So the entire point of the game is that as you go month by month, which is what the turns are, you're trying to advance in society. You're trying to kind of raise your position in society through different ways. And that's kind of what the Traveler character creation is. It's like a mini game. It's a little bit like On Guard, only without the dueling.
Right.
So very excited about what they're going to do with this. But I don't know when we're going to see it. I guess the Kickstarter is live. It's already well past its goal. I think they hit 6 figures pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it.
Yeah. I think I might be back in this one.
But it's also got me kind of thinking, what hard sci-fi is there? Because most sci-fi RPGs are very much on either on the space opera side, or they just literally are elves in space,
right?
Or eldritch horror.
Well,
yes.
What I'm thinking is what are you going to do in a hard sci-fi game? I mean, I know there's a lot that goes on in the real world, getting into space and all that. I mean, it's like everything, right? But what do you do in an RPG when it's only 20 years from now? I mean, like, what kind of adventures are you going to? Is it fixing the spaceship? Is it, is it going to be
what kind
trying
of
to land on a comet? I don't know.
My first reaction, I was going to be snide and say, well, what do you do with a game that's set in today's world, like our game, Top Secret? But you're probably not going to be doing space espionage here. Right. I don't know. This is a complete speculation. I have no idea, but I would guess they're going to introduce some kind of first contact.
Oh, they might. They might.
You know? I mean, I've never played a tabletop role-playing game that has first contact between 2 different species in it before. And that includes fantasy games. You could actually make a really interesting fantasy campaign. What if your players had never heard of orcs? Like, what would that be like the first time they met?
Right.
So, maybe...
sorry. You know what this makes me think of? What's that TV show? The Expanse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there, I suppose there isn't, like, it's kind of like edging to fill in that gap between, the sci-fi that's there and just like stay within the solar system. You know what I mean? A little bit more realistic. You don't have to deal with faster than life travel. Faster than life travel.
It is. You know what? It is it is faster than life because you can't live one of those trips.
But there's all these ways I could imagine it going that probably wouldn't be very fun, like very Andy Weir, kind of The Martian type of things. I suppose there's going to be a lot more action movie kind of side to it. You sort of have to, but I am just unreasonably excited about the idea of playing the more mundane side of things.
Well, I think, you know what, if you were very optimistic and just assume that the world is going to lean into all of this, very heavily, more than we really do. But it's fine. Let's say you said for the next 20 years, not United States, the world, the entire world is going to lean into exploring space and building colonies or whatever, like building bases on the moon or whatever. And you did that. You would have a lot of stuff going on. You could have espionage because we're not the only ones in the game. The Chinese are way into the game. Like, they're heavy into the game. India's into it. I think England's even trying to build Japan, definitely Japan. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, Japan's way into it.
But I'd say there's already, you look at the International Space Station, there's espionage going on there for sure.
True.
There has been.
They're doing scientific kind of experiments, whatever, on the internet. Well, is that still active? Is it? I know we're going to decommission it a couple of times, but
no, it's still hanging in there.
Like, going to space is, exciting in itself, that you can make a mundane story something fantastical. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, just dealing with an emergency in the capsule would be something.
Being that this is being designed by people familiar with NASA, like I think the one guy who's from NASA.
So she is actually. I shouldn't assume Sandy could be a man's name, but Dr. Ampton is says here is NASA mission scheduling software and satellites. So this is a NASA person.
Yeah, but you know, they're obviously connected. They hear the stories
Yeah.
and experience all the stuff that goes on. They would know how to write, you know, scenarios where, you know, you would have, here's the issue and here's how to fix it, but here's all the things that they're gonna have to go through to try and figure it out. That could be a lot of fun, you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna check the what would I do? Check the board. Yeah, check your board, check the electronics, you know. And they're like, all right, gonna make a roll to do this, and then well, it could be this or it could be that. All right, we'll send somebody in the back. So if you knew what to write to, if you were smart enough about how all this stuff works and you knew what to write to, you could write adventures for it that would be fun for players.
So Sandy Antun, I'm hoping it's like a silent S, but what do I know? Born Alexander Antunes is a he. So if you wanted.
Oh, okay. So you found pronouns for Sandy.
Oh, yeah, just like Googled and Wikipedia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. So, have either of you read? I was just thinking in terms when I'm looking at an RPG, I always want to think, what's a movie, what's a book that would help me get ready for this. Have either of you read Daniel Suarez, his latest 2 books, Delta V and Critical Mass?
Not yet. You told me to check them out. I haven't checked them out yet.
Have you heard of him?
I haven't.
I absolutely love Daniel Suarez. He's kind of halfway between Neil Stephenson and Tom Clancy in terms of what he writes about. You know, it's a little bit political thrillers. It's a little bit near sci-fi. I don't think Neil Stephenson does cyberpunk. I think he does like near sci-fi. And Delta V and Critical Mass are two book series about essentially mining an asteroid. So the whole thing is, it's very hard sci-fi. It's very, how would you actually do it? How would you get to it? And there is tons of international intrigue and espionage and people trying to sabotage each other's missions and all that kind of stuff going on. I think those books would be excellent inspiration for a Pioneer campaign.
Yeah.
Or Armageddon, if you really wanted to ramp it up.
Oh,
that's land on an asteroid. Yes. You're trying to blow it up to save Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was back in was that back in the 90s?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis still had a little hair.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It was post Moonlighting, pre Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I think so.
So Chet is in the chat. So hi, Chet. Chet, you'll find out later why we were calling Jog the Chet of Ireland. So and Jog will find out too.
I presume Chet is a map maker.
No, artist, but
he's
basically, if you go to, I'll give the spoiler now. If you go to any convention in the eastern part of the United States, you're going to see Chet's art. And if you go to a convention in Ireland, you're going to see Jog's maps. So, all right, let's get to the next story.
All right. Hold on. Let me do this. All right.
Okay.
So Stranger Things creator, Sean Levy discusses live action D&D series for Netflix. So Sean Levy is producing this, and he's creating this for Netflix, and it's gonna be based on the Forgotten Realms.
Well, it's called Forgotten Realms. We don't know what it's based on.
Well, all right, that is true, but I would be so surprised if it didn't take place in Forgotten Realms, and it's
all
a D&D
set in Greyhawk
that they call Forgotten Realms. That would
just all set in Greyhawk.
Can you imagine the backlash on that? It would be ridiculous.
Also, you've all gone in on the Forgotten Realms team on your graphics, so
yeah.
So
there we are.
Yeah.
And so he says he emphasizes that the adaptation must feel organic to D&D's essence rather than locked into a single hero's journey. So I think we're back to a discussion we've had before about what is the face of D&D, what is the feel of D&D, whereas the movies, all the properties that have been created, they're never really based around any central characters for the most part. I mean, like the movie was around that team, but that wasn't. You could just change that team out for anyone else in the next movie if you wanted to.
But I mean, it was also Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. Okay, that's true. That was.
So yeah, Honor Among Thieves was set in the Forgotten Realms. I mean, it makes perfect sense. It is a great setting. It gives you so many opportunities for storylines. And I think that the point that Sean Levy had was that even though you have a setting and you have D&D, there's not really characters. It's not really one story that they're just following.
Right.
just a setting, and that's all it is.
Right. Yeah. You're not following a bunch of, hobbits and some elves and a dwarf, specific dwarf. And yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting because I don't really know where it is at this point, because production could mean anything.
Could mean anything. It could also mean it's not going to happen. Production doesn't mean it's happening. Production means it's probably happening. It's gotten through 98% of the hurdles. It's still got a few more percent to go through.
Well,
I'd say Sean Levy has he could just print money for Netflix at this point.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. Yeah, it's going to happen. It'll happen.
I mean, I think you just nailed it, though. Is that's the point? Is that Sean Levy knows how to tell the damn story.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's all that really matters, and that's what has been. That was the stumbling block for all the D&D movies that came before Honor Among Thieves, and I think Honor Among Thieves was an incredible movie. Did you see it, Jog?
Oh yes, yeah.
What
I
did you
really
think
enjoyed it. I was apprehensive because of the D&D movie that they made. Was it in the 90s or the early?
They made a couple.
They made a couple of them, and they were.
I don't. Yeah, but that line, "They've got a beholder." That's when I walked out of the movie theater. So I was like, "No, I'm out." So. But I loved it. I thought it was a great romp. You know what I mean? It hit all of those little Easter eggs that just kind of kept everyone happy. And it was also something that I was able to watch with my kids that they didn't really kind of get the all of the references. And
sure.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean that's the test of a film. Like, is it fun if you don't get the references?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I went with my buddy Will, and he's a younger guy. He's about, I don't know, 15 years. No, I think we just said he's 18 years younger than me because he was born when I graduated high school. So he's been playing the later versions of D&D, and I haven't played D&D in years and years. So I'm not familiar with all the latest stuff. So it was funny because there was things in the early, like in the movie that were pulling from the earlier D&D, like the old school D&D stuff, that he had no idea what that reference was. And then there was these references that were pulling from the newer D&D that I had no idea what the references were. So we had to fill each other in on the Easter eggs that we were missing. So that was kind of funny.
It's the Looney Tunes test.
Yeah.
They're going to put references in there. Can you still enjoy Bugs Bunny even if you don't know the entire details of the Wagnerian ring cycle?
Yeah, you don't need to know any of that.
Yeah.
So
or SpongeBob. I could sit down and watch SpongeBob, and there's some references in there where SpongeBob is sitting watching some thing wobbling around, and when Gary the Snail walks in, he changes the channel to the football straight away.
Yeah, because when I started watching with my daughter,
I don't know. I don't understand why that's funny because I don't watch SpongeBob. So I don't know.
But it's the fact that he's caught watching he shouldn't be watching.
Okay.
Right.
And it's just something for the parents. You know what I mean?
Oh, I gotcha.
And when I watched it with my daughter, when we were trying to determine whether she was old enough, I was like, yeah, she's kind of old enough because you know what, the adult humor in this is going to go right over her head. If she gets it, she's old enough to get it. That's really what, that's what it was.
Still talking about SpongeBob, yeah.
Yeah, it's talking about
yes. But I'm a big proponent of put references in whether anybody's going to get them or not, because either they're funny to a few people and others just move on without them, or maybe somebody goes, I want to understand that reference.
Yeah.
And they go and they look it up. David Mitchell's Soapbox, one of the best web series ever. He did a whole rant on references and why you should never be afraid to make references that people are not going to get. And he specifically pointed out, he's like, when I was a child, I learned opera because of Bugs Bunny. That's okay. I wouldn't have known. I looked it up. So yes, do the references.
That's cool.
Is this going to happen? That's the big question, right? Because I think even when in the video, in the interview with Sean Levy, he kind of sounded like, geez, we've been working really hard at this. We're not there yet. It could all fall apart.
Oh, yeah. All right. So there was one quote where Collider asked him if it would move forward. And he said, I really hope so. I really hope so. So
Really,
like,
really hope so.
right? Yeah. Oh well, yeah, really, really. Sorry, yeah, really.
Double really. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
double really kind of does two things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It shows you that they absolutely do want it, but it also shows, so what's up? What's wrong?
Right.
Why'd you have to really that one?
Yeah. Why'd you really?
Why'd you wait, why'd you yada yada? Don't
Right.
yada yada.
Right. Right.
So are the haters going to hate though? Are we
Yeah,
going to
of course they are. Of course they are.
Do you know a reason why I started off when I discovered role playing games? I started off with homebrew from the get go because I was worried that my players would know more about the theme and the world than I would. So I like the kind of security of being able to build stuff myself. So
I've done it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's going to be haters coming from every direction on this. There's going to be the people who get angry whenever anything they like succeeds, because now it's not just theirs anymore. Ooh, normies have it. They're going to be mad. And then there's going to be people who are angry because it wasn't exactly the way they had imagined it in their heads. There's going to be somebody who's going to be mad because something political. There's going to be somebody that's going to be mad about something else. I think one of the biggest skills somebody like Sean Levy probably builds early on in their career is learning not to give a fuck.
Right.
I can't imagine.
Write a good story and let that sit on its own. Like when somebody says, well, blah, 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 it's like the story was good. Was the story not good?
Yeah.
And he's good at writing compelling stories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm excited for it.
As long as they don't split it up into like lots of parts like they're doing with Stranger Things lately.
What, where they go off in different directions?
No, no, I don't mind that.
Were they literally splitting the party? I haven't been watching.
Chopping. Well, I don't know if they're doing this in Netflix in the US, but we are being fed it. No, of course they're doing it.
Yeah, we are. No, we're getting pieces too.
So they're splitting up the series into 3 parts.
Yeah.
Obviously, just to keep the revenue streams going, so someone doesn't come and binge watch it.
So we'll get it. Yeah, we get the first chunk of it around Thanksgiving. We get the second chunk of it around like a month later, and then the third chunk is like in like I think New Year's Day or something like that. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like it's not every week. It's like you get a chunk.
Well, I mean, that's how you make your money, right? You can't give it to them all at once.
I totally understand that. I just you're so used to binge watching and just staying up till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And now they want us to kind of go to bed. What's this all about?
Oh my God. I gotta tell you, when we were doing season 3, that one came out on July 4th, and we decided, me and my daughter, we got up in the morning, started at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're gonna do this whole thing. We're gonna do the whole thing in one day. So we watched it all the way to the end. We got to the last episode. And she was like, Dad, I'm kind of tired. I was like, no, you're not. I was like, we're doing this. And she's like, oh, okay. And we did. We finished it. It's like, no quitters in this house.
I am so lucky that streaming binge watching was not possible when I was a child. I would have failed every class I had.
Yeah, no shit. Right.
Yeah.
When I first started watching Stranger Things, I didn't know what I was getting into and didn't realize I was going to like it. So I started watching an episode at like 9 o'clock at night. Next thing I knew, it was like 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I got to go to bed because it was a work night. It's like, oh.
Well, you know what? I'm confident that whatever happens with the D&D series will probably get the same level of bingeability.
Yeah.
And I will also say that I think a series is probably a much better fit for D&D than a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a campaign, you can't fit. Yeah. And at the end of the day, what even makes it a D&D movie? Because the rules they're not going to show saving throw roll on the screen, so how would you even know if you were watching a D&D or Castles and Crusades or Tunnels and Trolls or Shadow Dark? It's just a fantasy adventure.
Right. And I want them to have the ability to show the other aspects of characters other than action. I want to be able to see, them doing research before going into a dungeon or looking for clues. I want all the different classes to have their chance. If you condense it down into a short thing, you just get little tastes of the other stuff, and then it's a lot of action, for a movie like this. So,
But I also do not want the thing that was the most frustrating to me about the movie was all of the uber nerds who got mad because they felt that the druid was breaking the rules, and they got rules lawyery on how the druid could shape change. It's a movie.
right. Mediums don't translate the same all the time.
Anyways, Chet in the chat says, we are now so spoiled with access to shows, but yes, give me the whole damn show now. And he also says Ed Greenwood should write it, which I don't think Ed Greenwood is a screenwriter, but he should be involved.
I think. Oh no, I was going to say I thought he was, but there's nothing that says that he is. That's right. I didn't see
very happy at GaleCon this year because for the pub quiz there was a picture round, and you had to identify all the people in the picture round, and one of them was a picture of Ed Greenwood, and nobody else knew who he was. And I was like, yes, I'm contributing.
Right. That's wild because he stands out.
I've never been in a pub quiz where I personally knew one of the answers.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I avoided pub quizzes for that very reason, because I just thought that everyone takes it super serious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love a pub quiz.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the next thing.
Next story.
A strange case of harassment on Twitter. No, Kickstarter. What am I saying?
Yes.
When I hear the word harassment, I just say Twitter automatically.
Yeah, instantly.
Oh, there was something Freudian about that. Okay. So, first, a little background. Phil Foglio and Katya Foglio are married, and between them, they are Girl Genius, which is a long-running comic series. But for anybody who is Gen X and really old, you might remember from Dragon Magazine, Phil wrote a comic called What's New with Phil and Dixie. And that was like the first introduction for a lot of people to Phil Foglio. Phil Foglio is comics royalty and gaming royalty. Katya Foglio is also comics and gaming royalty. The two of them have got decades of goodwill behind them. I just wanted to put that context in to begin with.
Yep.
So they did a Kickstarter for something, as you do, and they fulfilled it, as you do, and somebody didn't get their stuff.
Oh, wait. There's one other piece. No, there's one extra piece. This is a convoluted story.
Yeah.
So there was another company called Rain Games, and they ran a Kickstarter for Girl Genius, but it was for a different thing. It was for an RPG. I think a computer RPG.
Correct. Yes. Thank you for the clarity.
So they're the ones. This has nothing to do with Phil. I mean, they get involved in the story, but they're not at fault for anything. They've done nothing.
Yeah. They didn't even run the Kickstarter, as far as I know.
No, they had nothing to do with it.
It was their IP, and that's all it is. But this story is going to do a lot to illustrate how much nuance cannot survive public exposure.
Right.
And I'm not even blaming individuals for this. It's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got a million things flying at our faces every day at all times. It's easy to miss the nuance. So there's a Kickstarter created by Rain Games using IP from the Foglios, et cetera, et cetera. Then a completely different Kickstarter campaign was started by somebody, Mother's Touch. Had nothing to do with either. They had never heard of them, didn't know anything about them, just a different thing. Katya backed it because as a part of the community, she also backs stuff as well as runs stuff, of course. And to be fair, it looks like a really cool thing that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of this, for whatever reason, this guy, I'm going to say his name because it's
in the receipts, man. Yeah,
it says Kenny Ryan came on to this other person's Kickstarter because they saw that Studio Foglio had backed it and wrote. I will read this. It's in all caps. So imagine that I'm yelling like a boomer.
All right, here, hold on. I'm gonna give it to everybody. Here we go.
Okay. Imagine that I am 75 years old and I'm still mad about the fact that I can't get my remote control to work. Studio Foglio using their money to back projects instead of using that money to deliver goods to backers! Exclamation mark. 2 years your Girl Genius game has been in retail for the general public, and you still haven't delivered the game to backers! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Why are you using your money to back other projects instead of delivering what you should from over 2 years ago? Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, etc., etc., etc. And they didn't just leave that message on this completely unrelated third-party site.
Nothing to do with the person they're commenting on.
74. 74. That is 70, 4, and 10 for those of you from the 19th century. Comments on this poor, unrelated person who's only got 71 backers. They've got 71 backers total, and now they have 74 comments from Kenny Ryan yelling at Studio Foglio for something that, frankly, they can't control either.
Not only yelling, they threatened.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. And here we go, my turn. And don't tell me it's Rain Game's job, because you're in on it. It's your IP, and you constantly are ignoring emails and messages! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
First of all, is there any practical, conceivable way that we can levy a tax on exclamation points?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. I missed this other one too. No, there was one that was a direct threat. It said something about deleting me won't stop me. I'm fucking done having these low life POS reach into my pocket, running away and going and spending a spree with my money.
Spree.
Yeah, going on a spending spree. His whole like $10 he probably invested, right? So either drop them now, or I guarantee you this will be nothing compared to the next 4 days.
This is the dark side of what is that? Crowdsource funding for backing creatives, where you pay a small bit and then you feel like you own that person and that own that person's time.
Yeah,
I've had this, on my Patreon. I've had a few patrons who felt with their $5 that they contribute that I should drop everything and just focus directly on them.
Yeah,
and it's draining. You know what I mean? It's
and
hard
they
to
will
build a community around that.
They'll spend more money on a coffee from Starbucks, and they're going to give you crap because you didn't put enough work into your product. I mean, Jason and I were just talking a little earlier about how much work goes into these products and how it's insane how much work goes into it. And when people complain about a few bucks, now for some people it's more than that. For some people, they back something for like $100 or like $300 or something like that. And if they get screwed over,
I understand that $5, €5, £5, 5 Riyadh is a different amount of money to different people.
Yeah, that's true. No, that is true. That is true.
But if that $5, and I'm not saying that this Kenny Ryan only paid $5, they probably paid $60 or whatever. But whatever they paid, if that amount of, first of all, Studio Foglio always fulfills on their promises. They always have. But that's why I wanted to set the context up at the beginning. Studio Foglio has been around for 40 or more years. These are very serious people, and they do their work and they take it seriously. But even if they didn't, which they do, when you back something on Kickstarter, you acknowledge that it's a risk. Yeah. And if you're putting 50 whatever currencies into it and you can't afford that 50 currencies, don't do it.
Right.
If you're backing something, expect that the person who's doing it is going to do it in good faith and you be in good faith. And if they don't fulfill it to you, write them a letter, ask them why. And if they're ignoring you, okay. yeah, I could imagine. Let's say this was a Ken Whitman project. And Jog, I don't know if you've heard the name Ken Whitman before. Have you?
Yes, I haven't heard anyone's name before. I'm just dreadful with names, so I apologize if
you and I had this discussion.
Yeah.
We had this talk about it. So
It's
we are now on the all three of us have diagnosed ADHD on this podcast today. So
apparently, yeah.
But you have the brain to write stuff down and write.
Yes, I showed you.
I don't do that.
List.
I just go. I get disarmed by people who know a huge amount about me. Sometimes I'll be at a party and someone will come up to me. They know everything about me. They're asking me all these facts about my kids, all of my hobbies, and I'd be like,
"Who are you?
Who is this person?" I'd be like. So luckily, in this case, I am there, and I'm making little mini pizza kind of fold over what are calzones, and I'm doing that job, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, I have to focus on this task right now. Right. So
yes,
and it was only I'm listening out, like I'm not focusing on the task, I'm listening out for other people to use their name, and the minute they use their name, everything just fits into place. But yeah,
this is a very solid argument for bringing your partner to events. Because what I can do is when I've forgotten to remember the person's name, I will grab my wife and I'll be like, Hanai, this is, and then she knows that's the signal to ask them, I'm sorry, what was that? What's your name?
Right.
My wife is really good with that. She is able to kind of just like, it's terrible for if we get into arguments, she's able to just list back what I've said.
Oh.
But horrible.
A blessing and a curse.
What makes me angry about this story more than anything else is the fact that this guy did this on purpose. Like he can't even lean back on I got confused. I didn't know you weren't involved. He even states in one of these many texts that he knows that this project has nothing to do with any of those other people. He states that he's doing this because he can't get through to them, to the people, and that this was his only avenue. So he's attacking someone else's Kickstarter to get back at somebody who's not even really related to them because he saw a name that fit some name somewhere else. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, man, why would you attack? Because I mean, if you undermine someone's credibility, especially since this is a first time go for somebody. Like, that's absurd.
And let me give them a little credit here. So the people who do it, I had to look it up. It's a comic book is what it is. Mm-hmm. It's called Otherkin. Mm-hmm. The first three, it's a comic book series inspired by horror and urban fantasy classics such as Hellblazer, Swamp Thing, etc. They have met their goal, so good for them. And to be fair, Kickstarter is starting to do something about this. But so Otherkin, if you look it up, see if you like it, back it if you do. I probably will, just out of solidarity. But the story here is how Kickstarter handles this situation.
Yeah.
And how are they dealing with it? Is it still up in the air?
Well, I don't know. So I just looked at the Kickstarter project for Otherkin, and I do see that first of all, when you go to their page, is there a way for me to share and just scroll through their page right now?
You can do a screen share.
All right, I'm going to do it. Here I go.
I'll hide this one.
So which one is Otherkin? Rain Games? The one from Rain Games or the one from? So I'm again.
Oh, Otherkin is from Mother's.
A whole separate group.
Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. Am I sharing my screen right now?
Got it. Yep. Okay, you're good.
So here's Otherkin. Looks very cool. I'm going to hit play on this. I'm going to hit mute on that. Looks like a very cool comic book. Great art. I'm interested in it. Yeah, I probably will back this. So as we go down here through the comments, you see 116 comments. Keep in mind, 71 backers. So 116 comments is a lot. And here we see Kenny Ryan, super backer. This comment is under review for potentially violating Kickstarter's community guidelines.
Okay, so they are taking action then.
Yeah, and so you can see as I scroll through, Kenny Ryan. I'll stop.
Dude, to see this, and these many were Kickstarter community, they're worried about violating Kickstarter. This guy is, I'm sorry, he's being a dick. I don't know if he's a dick in real
Look
life.
at how long it's going.
But he's being a dick doing this.
I'm up the first 25. It's just nothing
but
my
him.
God. Look, I can empathize to a very small amount with Kenny Ryan, because if I paid money for something and I didn't get it, I would like it. I cannot imagine the level of, I don't even know what, just disconnection from reality that it takes to leave so many comments that it takes a long time to scroll through them, even after they've been hidden.
And not only that, but look, they apologized. They said, look, they said, we're sorry. We understand your frustration, but it wasn't us. And, I don't know what you want us to do. And he just keeps going.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Just keeps on going. And he's apparently replying to himself. I don't even know. And here's the thing. As a backer, if I'm looking at this and thinking, do I want to back it? And I see all this garbage, that doesn't bother me. I'm like, yeah, okay, somebody's being a weirdo. Actually, the comic looks pretty cool. I'm going to back it. And I will. I won't do it here on screen. I don't want to show my credit card, but
do it.
Yeah, right, let's do this.
But I totally get, as a creator, we've all created Kickstarters. Your whole self is tied up in this. You're anxious. You're full of concern. Is it going to go well? And then this happens. You're just, it's just going to be terrible. And I will say right here. So first, Kaja Foglio, love her screen name, Slag Blah High Priestess. She went into a lot of trouble to the person who had this weird case of harassment. She saw it on Reddit and went and made sure that she replied publicly to the person on Reddit and explained everything and said, I'm so sorry. I feel terrible about it. The two of them, she actually went and backed, more of her stuff because of it. The two of them are probably going to be friends now. Kenny is just going to be sad.
That's all Kenny was doing. He was trying to bring people together.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Sure.
Now I can empathize with him.
Yeah, that's what it was. But all right, what this says to me is, Kickstarter, please I understand there is a balance to be had here, because if a creator has a backer with a legitimate grievance, you don't want the creator to be able to silence them, but you don't want the backer with the grievance to be able to blow up their world either.
Right.
How long has Kickstarter existed? 15 years?
Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably longer than I can think of.
Solve this.
Maybe if there's like spam controls, you're posting too often, you need to slow down.
Ooh,
something
that
like
would be a good trigger. That'd be a good red flag.
Yeah. I mean, that's easy, right? Do it.
But in fairness to them, they are now kind of highlighted as, breaking community standards. Yeah. So you have to give them that, in fairness.
Yeah. Yeah. They did at least do that. So it's a tough job. They got to do it. So do it, guys. Fix this problem. All right. You introduce this next topic. I'm going to go grab a beer while you do. And Jog is going to correct me on the pronunciation of my beer. I'll be right back.
Very good. All right. For our next story. So we talked about there being a Kickstarter strike. It was a group called Kickstarter United. Their strike went on for 6 weeks, and they actually got a resounding victory. So they made a bunch of demands, and they got all their demands met. So the strike lasted 42 days, and it was represented by the union Kickstarter United, which is kind of cool that they have a union. It must have been I don't know how many people work for Kickstarter, but it's cool that they managed to put a union together for it. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a Kickstarter recognizing this union as well.
Yeah, so that's the thing. They actually did. You got to give Kickstarter a lot of credit for negotiating in good faith, recognizing the union. Kickstarter United is actually part of a larger union, which is, I'm a little confused. I remember we talked about it before when they created the union. It's an entertainment-based union.
Okay.
but I don't remember what OPEIU
EIU
stands
is,
for.
yeah.
I'll look it up while we talk.
The
OPEIU.
local D3. So anyway, so they
Okay, here we go. Office and Professional Employees International Union.
Okay.
So it's not just entertainment, it's office workers. It's
okay.
white collar and gray collar workers.
Good for them. All right, so they negotiated this, and this wasn't, I mean, the fact that it went on for 42 days, I think that's a fair number for something like this, because it shows that Kickstarter didn't just cave or just blow them off. They probably spent a lot of time negotiating and talking and figuring out how to make all this work. And Kickstarter decided, all right, you know what, these are all reasonable things, and went with it. So this is what they got. A codified 4-day, 32-hour work week.
Now, let's put that in context.
Yeah.
That was not a new thing for them.
No.
They had been doing it already.
Yes, they already had that. It had been working, and I think Kickstarter had started to lean into going back into a 5 or adding a 5-day work week or whatever it was. And I think they were just like, wait a minute, it was working with the 4-day. Why do we have to do 5-day? And I'm a big fan of that the concept that a 40-hour work week, that is just a number that somebody made up. There is no science behind that, because not every profession can equal out the 40 hours. Like, that's just stupid, right? There's no way that works. So some jobs
40 hours was something that was fought for 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it used to be 60 hours
or more or whatever.
And let's talk about how they got 40 hours, right? So there's a famous graphic from back in the day. If you're a fan of the labor movement of the early 20th century, as I am, hey, I like my socialist writers from the 1930s. Live with it. Upton Sinclair Lewis. All right. So anyway, they had this thing where they took 8. I got to do my math now. 8 times 3 is 24, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they did this little thing where they said 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, 8 hours for life. That was basically the way they broke it down. And to be fair, that's not entirely the easiest thing in the world, because that 8 hours for life includes a lot of crap.
Travel.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I mean, all the stuff you have to do. But it was a good formula and it worked out well. So they said you get a 2-day weekend. You get 8 hours a day of work. That's 40 hours. They fought like hell for it. People literally died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot overstate the tactics of the anti-union movement in the 20s and 30s.
It was pretty much a revolutionary war.
Yes.
Speaking of Revolutionary War, did you know that the Irish revolutionary movement was a union movement also?
Are you talking around like early 20th century or late 20th century?
This was early 20th century, so
like around 1916, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the first.
You had your labor movements were big behind that. So
really,
many of the people who were executed in 1916 or after 1916, the 1916 rising in Ireland, were labor union movement people. Now,
that makes
I'm
a lot
not
of sense.
a historian.
Yeah,
and I zoned out when it came to Irish history. It's like, give me the medieval stuff, but I'm now, going to channel all these kind of facts that maybe. But yeah, like I do know that.
But I mean, if anybody's going to have a good parallel between, what it's like to have an oppressive capitalist landowning, group versus a group of workers, Ireland's probably a pretty good candidate for that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of them came over here and wound up in the same thing. It's like, damn it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least there wasn't some English guy at the castle, literally owning the town.
Right. But
so the point is that this labor movement 100 years ago was like, okay, we can only work 40 hours a week, and here's why. Good. But life has moved on. We are now in the year of our Lord 2025, and you can be the amount of productivity you can have in 2025 versus 1925. I would hope it's better now. I would hope you can get a lot more done with it. So if you can do twice, let's just say twice as much work in the same time that you could 100 years ago, it's probably more than that.
It's way more than that. It's way more.
But let's just say twice as much. Well, then shouldn't you work half as many hours?
Dude, I mean, you've heard me say this before many times. I'm just like, what is the point of having all this advanced technology if we don't get some more free time out of it? Like, what the fuck? What are we doing all this for? Why advance if it doesn't make your life better? Our lives we're not getting more quality time. So yeah, I mean, like, I'll give you a prime example in my career. So I'm an engineer. I started as a draftsman. I started at the ground floor, and when I started, they were still hand drafting. So we were all still using pen and ink and, and on Mylar. And it would take a team of draftsmen, usually like about 3 or 4 draftsmen, to support a single engineer. Right. So the engineer, there you go. Yeah.
I still use
Right.
older tools. Yeah.
So you would have an engineer who would be designing something, or several engineers, and then like a whole team of draftsmen. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the picture. It's a pretty famous picture, but it's like in this room where there's like 100 draftsmen and table after table. Right. So that's what it used to be. Then AutoCAD came along, and it came along right when I was getting started. So I went from being a hand draftsman for like 2 years, and I transitioned right into doing CAD. When I started doing CAD, I could support an engineer all by myself. And as I got better and faster, I would actually support multiple engineers at a time. So the amount of draftsmen shrunk to almost nothing, but my pay never went up because of that. Like, I didn't see any big advance. And I'm just like, well, where's all this money going? I mean, I used to pay for all these draftsmen, and now you don't. Well, it went back in the corporate pockets. And I'm just kind of like, well, how does that help the rest of us? How did technology help me? It didn't. You know what I mean? So,
John, you were saying something just a moment ago too.
Well, I was saying there was studies done, which I'm not going to cite, that I'm just going to come out because this is the way.
Y'all can look it up.
That when most of the work that people do is done, at the start of the week.
Yeah.
That productivity trails off at the end of the week. Also, at the start of the day and maybe at the end of the day, and there's a big drop at the end. And if you can just identify, okay, you give people kind of productivity incentives rather than, you have to work for this amount of time.
Yeah. If your productivity has gone up by 3 times, well, then let's give you 3 times the money.
Or just you've done your work. It doesn't even have to be about money.
Yeah, go home.
You can go home.
Yeah.
No problem.
Go home.
Yeah.
Enjoy, a walk in the park and enjoy time with your family.
This is what we want you to do this week. Okay, I finished it on Wednesday. All right, see you Monday.
Yeah. There is a article that was, I don't remember if this was run in Forbes or Fortune. It came out a few years ago called "The Worst Idea in the World," and it was about this idea that didn't show up until the 1970s called maximizing shareholder value.
Yeah, it's awful.
Which basically was this idea that businesses, they're no longer responsible for making great products or making their customers happy or making their workers happy. It was just about how much money can you make for your shareholders this quarter. And that's what drives it all. And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it's possible to abandon that, to be just nakedly, unabashedly capitalist and love making money and love accomplishing things, but also be human about it.
Yeah.
It's like how Google dropped their
don't be evil.
Don't be evil. And they removed it when they started getting into drone technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a good sign. When this happens for Kickstarter, it's good for their employees, of course. I'm glad that they have more work-life balance, that they're able to be happier at what they do. It's good for the customers because as customers of Kickstarter, when the employees are happier, the product's better.
Yeah, always.
I mean, if you've ever shopped at a locally owned retail shop and then gone to a big chain store that sells the same thing, you know which place you have a better experience.
Yeah.
It's the place where they have some stake in the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I think this is a great sign for Kickstarter. It's a great sign for the industry in general, because when one tech company, who they've got their investors to answer to, when one tech company says, you know what, 32 hours a week, that's normal, others will follow.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta break the seal on it.
All right.
So well, couple more things. So they got their minimum salary floor is now linked to cost of living. So if cost of living goes
completely
up,
fair. I mean,
that's
you
fair.
don't want somebody working at Kickstarter who can't afford to pay their rent.
Right, exactly. Protections from job displacement via AI or contractor replacements. I like that too.
That's huge. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So
go ahead.
and strengthen pay equity, which I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm assuming it means a little bit more of a, if two people are doing the same job, they should get paid about the same amount.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
More money for the person who is more experienced or whatever, but sure.
Yeah, but you have jobs where because someone didn't ask, they didn't advocate for themselves enough or didn't know to advocate for themselves, that the boss will pay them less because they can. That happens everywhere.
Oh, I will tell you right now, my team at Adobe, and I'm just going to say it out loud because they can't stop me. When I first joined Adobe, I looked at all the people that were working for me, and I saw one person who was making 3 times as much as another person. 3 times. And he was the worst one on the team.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, I forget the person who said it. There's a tech VC woman or something, and she has a quote that I appreciate, which is, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate.
Yeah, it's true.
And Kickstarter negotiated.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
So you were going to say about AI.
Oh, crap. Yeah. Poop on it. No. No. You know what? AI, when it is a tool, if it can take away the drudgery and make you better at your job, that is wonderful. When it takes your job from you, that's another story.
Yeah.
And so they were looking for protections from that. They were basically saying, if you're going to use AI to try to replace employees, we're going to have some say in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that companies should not be able to get more efficient. If you have somebody whose job is, doing a drudgery all day and an AI can replace them, that's probably a good idea. But from a union perspective, they have to be able to at least say, well, can you find this person another job?
Mm-hmm.
Can you give them something to do? So yes, please.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Jog, help me. All right. So
I could go down the rabbit hole of AI, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Please do.
Because it's very late here.
Just
it's very late here. No, and
30 seconds.
I've only very recently, on a different platform, there was a whole thing about AI, and I'm a bit raw from it because there were some strong AI advocates there.
I'm sorry. Do you mean lazy people?
Well, they were, all of that. There's a kind of an agenda, an anti-AI agenda, that's kind of a narrative that's been thrown out there. I don't really want to go down the.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
fair enough.
I am strongly against it. But
I will just say this: there's a lot of different ways for AI to exist. There's generative AI, there's agentic AI, there's neural network AI. They're all different things. They all have different purposes. You can't paint it with a broad brush, but it's a good, this is my opinion, it's a good thing when it's a tool that is used to replace drudgery. And when the person whose drudgery is being replaced gets the fruit of that thing, right? Yeah. It's a bad thing when it's used to replace humanity. And I saw somebody trying to have an argument on a music subreddit about, I really like this AI music. And I just had this, I try not to get involved with these things, but I had to get into the conversation and say, look, there are some things that are not about the end result. It's about the way that humans connect to humans, whether it's a visual art or a music or whatever it might be. These are humans communicating to humans. If you just get some auto-generated stuff in the middle of it, you're not humans anymore. So just come on, let the humans connect to humans.
That new Frankenstein
Yeah,
movie.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm
Have
excited
you
to see
seen-
it.
I can never pronounce it. Guillermo
Guillermo.
del Toro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen him talking about AI as
No.
kind of a tool? Yeah, there's a clip there, and he is talking about the process, and yeah, it's like people think that AI is, people just prompt and an animation appears, and that's how animation
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what people think animation is all about. And yeah, so I recommend people look at go look at that video of him talking about AI. But that film, like everything was done with, they built the ship at the opening kind of sequence, and everything was done mechanically, and it's a better movie for it.
Yeah.
And it's not even CG. It's like, even if you take CGI out of it, you have a better movie.
Yeah.
The more human activity you have in something, the more passion and hard work, you're creating something better. And it's just,
How many science fiction stories have there been over the past 100 years where the central theme is we are humans and this is what makes us human, and you, the evil robotic overlords, will never get it? Can we listen to those, please?
Yeah, and I was going to say the CGI, I mean, like the practical effects. I'm so glad that Hollywood is moving back towards practical effects again. You know, it shows.
Did you see, this is very minor, but Apple TV has a new intro for their TV shows?
Mm-mm.
So, it's just that little sting, that little visual sting that happens at the beginning for like 5 seconds. And, the little Apple logo spins around and some things happen. But I was watching Slow Horses that came on at the beginning, and I was like, whoa, that is really, really beautiful. I wonder why it's so different. A friend of mine, my friend Eddie, works at Apple. He actually works in that department. So I texted him. I'm like, what is going on? This is so beautiful. And he wrote back, he's like, oh yeah, we did it all with practical effects.
Oh, there you go.
They they built a glass Apple logo, and they spun it through a bunch of different lights and prisms. And you can just tell there's just something about it when it's done. You're just like, ooh, that felt good. What was that?
Yeah. It's like kind of people who are big into their vinyl. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right.
But that they feel it in their core.
Yeah.
You can hear the analog sound.
Yeah.
And when CDs were a thing,
Yeah.
just like digitized music, it's losing something because you have to sample it at a certain rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what the science was behind it, but I agree. Although, for me, so much of the music that I loved when I was young was on a cassette tape that somebody had taped several times. And I was listening to it on my very, very, very cheap car stereo in my very cheap car. So a lot of my favorite music sounded like shit when I was a child. So maybe I prefer it to sound like crap.
Well, Jason, let's move on.
Before we move on to the next story, Jog, I've been mispronouncing my beer.
And I think, Rory, it was a disgrace, and I want to publicly call out Rory last week that he didn't call you.
Yeah,
they didn't call you. That your beer, that you mispronounced it.
I said Smithwick's. I said Smithwick's because I'm a fucking American. I did it wrong. What is this actually called?
Smittix.
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 That's how I pronounce it. I'll probably have, other Irish people saying that I'm wrong, but
oh shit, I don't. Yeah, where do you live?
Could be. I'm in Dublin.
You're in Dublin. Wait, are you from Dublin?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're from Dublin, Smittix. If you're not from Dublin, how is it
don't know.
We're going to find out. We'll get somebody to tell us.
People in the comments, if you
because here in the United States of America, if you buy a Smittix, which I will say properly now, here it tastes like the Smittix that I had in Ireland. If you buy a Guinness in America, it is a watered down, weak piece of piss.
It doesn't travel well.
It does not. Guinness in the United States of America is not a good beer. I'm just going to say it. So I've never liked it much. I'm a stout fan, never liked it much.
Yeah.
Went to Ireland, ordered a Guinness as you do, and was like, wait, what is this? This is a good beer.
Yeah.
Why is it good here?
You can have it vary from pub to pub as well.
Yeah.
That Guinness have this thing where they even advertise it, that they go around from pub to pub and they have to, clean the pipes, they take control of all of that.
Oh.
But you might get a pub where it's like, oh, you get a really good pint there. It's like so creamy, it's like milk.
Yes.
It's
like a food.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it varies from pub to pub in Ireland as well. You could just have one pub that just, and it's not a great pint.
Yeah, no, there was a pub we were going to a couple of times that I went in, I had a Guinness, and I was like, ooh, I'm not hungry anymore. I've had a Guinness.
Like eating a loaf of bread.
Yeah, but don't worry, I also brought back some potatoes. So
lovely.
Yeah, but I won't eat them on the show. Let's go to our main story of the night. Dun, dun, dun. We don't have music for this. No, all right, let's get some art up here. So, Chet, see you in the chat. Chet in the chat. Are you still there? If you go to a convention in the United States of America, in the Eastern Seaboard, you will see Chet Mitten's art on things. If you go to a convention in Ireland, you are going to see Jog's art, and specifically these maps. So, Jog, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of give your bio. Tell us a little bit about the things that you are.
I make maps. I'm just obsessed with them. I would say, I'm never good at giving a spiel about myself. Don't ask me to talk about myself. I will not be good at it. But I suppose when I put my pen to the page, I become someone different. I get sucked into the page, and I start exploring around. So what you're showing here is like one of the many types of maps. Like everything is a map to me. This would be isometric. I was a big fan of like.
Let's describe, because we do have audio listeners who are on the audio only podcast. So we're looking right now at Derek's Cantina and
this one is the Carter Estate. I remember. I'm good at remembering names of maps that I made.
Well, it's good of you to put the years on your signature.
I've stopped doing that. Yeah, but so this one, the Carter Estate, is it's one I made for a patron. I used to take I'd take submissions from patrons, and they would put a blurb as to what sort of map they want, and other patrons would vote, and the top one would get made. And I would cycle through different styles. So this one is isometric, so the kind of floors go off at 30-degree angles, just like an old RPG.
Yeah.
So this one, it's an old manor house, something like I'm not sure if you've seen The Haunting of Blythe Manor.
No.
The guy who made the Haunting on The Haunting of Hill House. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Well, he did The Haunting of Blythe Manor. This sort of kind of the 1900s kind of family estate, where not 1900s. That's 19th century family estate.
Oh, 1800s.
1800s. And
so we got a 3-story house here that's been exploded.
You're better explain.
Well, no. For the audio listeners, we have a 3-story manor that's been exploded. So you've got your ground, first and second floors, and they've been shown in a cutaway that, first of all, it's really interesting because an isometric map, which you can buy a notebook with isometric lines put into it so anybody can kind of get their 30 degrees right. But the complicated part is deciding, what do you show? What do you expose? What do you do to make it so that a person both gets the sense of realism that they would get from an old video game, right? An isometric video game, but also can tell where the heck you are. And in this one, you can actually kind of follow along with your finger, your eyes, your stylus, or whatever, and use this as a usable map to see where you are in this manner.
Yeah.
First of all, how do you even make those decisions?
Well, it starts with a conversation. So I took a call with my patron, and we decided. So he had some ideas for a story in his game world, and we placed them down. Kind of, we decided how many floors there was. So I would just do a sketch. We do a kind of a sketch call, and it takes about an hour, and we would come up with something basic, with kind of little points of interest placed around the page, and then I just kind of play with it, and I'll do another sketch, and then I go to the final one, and that's when I start just adding in little details.
And these are actually inked. This is not digitally done.
Yeah.
Right.
So I use a light board. Actually, it's a light board that I use here. So
use those.
I'm not going to say the brand because it's just some generic.
Oh yeah, you can pick them up all day online. But it's funny because you used to have to buy these big f-off giant things with
a light board with where you shine a light through, and it's like a glass table.
And now you can just pick them up for $20.
LED, yeah, it's great. Before I even knew that it was a thing, I was like, okay, I'm using my window. Relying on sunlight coming through. So I would like stick them up on my kind of patio window like this. And then the sun has gone down, so I can't work anymore. So
which
and it's like there must be
something for an artist, because when do artists work? At night.
Yeah.
So I discovered, there is a thing. There's a solution to this.
Yeah.
So I do kind of a sketch, and then I'll layer, and I build up the sketch. I actually have maybe there's a. Okay, I'm going to show some. Actually, I think I was showing you what I was working on, and I have the finished map. So this is what I was doing a collaboration with a podcaster. This is what they gave me.
Okay. Oh yes.
I'm not going to say who it's for, just so that like we can, because they haven't actually they haven't used it. This is the first sketch that we came up with. So this
right. So in this first sketch, you can see sort of the terraced approach to the different levels as they're starting to take form.
So this is a kind of a Gothic style city with kind of a Castlevania esque castle at the top, and we've got like three tiers, kind of curtain walls, kind of going around, and then this is the next kind of version, which kind of I add a little bit more detail. I'm kind of backwards here, so I'm showing kind of like the coastline disappearing off into the distance, and the defining the edge of the cliffs, kind of the. So this is like a big, tall kind of.
Yeah, now some ink is starting to happen. It's getting some solidity to it.
Yeah, and so then I do another. I do as many sketches until I'm kind of like happy with kind of what I'm looking at.
Yeah, yeah.
And then for this one, to keep myself, honest, I drew a grid so that I know which way is up. And I have a tendency just to kind of lean all my buildings to the side. And then the finished job is that one there.
Oh, and now, I mean, audio listeners, go watch the video. You should see this. It's now completely filled in. It's a living world. There's houses, there's fauna, there's flora, there's real geography, there's real topography. It's a place that you could go.
Yeah.
And that's actually where a lot of the magic works. The sketches, they're quick enough. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm getting the shape of it, and I just kind of build it up. I build it up. And so that's a song that just kind of like got into my head.
Yeah, I've got the song in my head too now, sort of a 90s house anthem.
Well, no, I'm thinking the Flight of the Conchords. Have you seen some of the parody songs? It's like, okay.
Break it down. I'm going to give one of my small claims to fame. I taught the Flight of the Conchords how to do a podcast. So,
oh right, okay.
Before they had their TV show, they were living in New York for a while. My roommate was friends with one of them. We were doing a podcast together at the time. She was like, "Can you teach my friends how to podcast?" And so that was when I met Brett and Jermaine. So
as close as I got to them was I went to see them in Dublin. When
they are so funny live. They're just the best.
They are. Yeah.
I'm going to go into the chat here for a second because Chet says to what you were saying about the window. I used to use my window too, then a glass-topped side table with a lamp under it.
Yeah.
Graduated to a 1960s light table that my printing company was going to throw away. I rented a truck and took it home.
Nice. Yeah.
Took an architect drawer home too. Yeah. Chet, I used to work at PG&E when our print shop closed down. I got the flat files and I got the light tables, same sort of way. And then I discovered later that all the stuff was cheap on Amazon now.
Yeah, it's wild because in my career, in the early 90s, I used light table all day long, and like when people would mention it, I was just like, oh yeah, it's a light table, like yeah, you use light table all the time. But I have a technical question for you. So when you're drawing this up, so the one we're talking about with the manor, it could be for any of these isometrics really, but for the particularly the one with the manor with a lot of lines to it, do you do the thing, because this is how we used to do it, because I actually went to high school to learn how to draft, so I actually took an isometric drawing class.
Yeah, I started
with. Do you use like a T-square and then like your triangle on it, and then like set up your thing and then draw all your lines?
I started like that,
yeah, okay,
and then a couple of mishaps. It's like the angle going wrong. So I start showing I just like print out an isometric grid and like throw it underneath my page.
Okay, I see.
And then so I'm not drawing directly onto an isometric page. So you can download.
You have it under it on the between you and the light.
So I'll put it underneath my sketch paper.
Yeah.
So then I have and then I kind of just I'll create like box kind of. So if you can imagine with this, you can see the bottom level. So I just kind of get an idea of where I'm going to put the floor of each level, and then I build up the walls from that. You know what I mean? So it's just like very basic. Yeah.
We used to have this cheat code, but it's only because we had a reproduction shop down in the basement. So that there was a reproduction like department in our building.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we would do to cheat is we had a specific blue we could draw in that could not be reproduced, right?
And people still use that.
Okay, and then, so we draw a bunch of our guidelines all over this thing, and then ink it all up, and then we wouldn't use that inked up version. We'd actually have a reproduction made that would get rid of all the guidelines and everything. So that was
so you can actually cheat codes. It's easy to just remove. So a guy called Pat's Peculiar, Nicholas, he's from Norway, and he produces some absolutely amazing isometric work. Where quite friendly. We've had some interactions and stuff like that. But he shows his sketches like that, and he uses the kind of blue isometric paper. Actually, he uses kind of the ones with the dots as well.
Yeah.
And then he when he's finished, he scans it in, and you just with the levels in Photoshop, you can just remove the blue.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean that's a thing. The old TSR modules that you would buy came with the maps, and they were always in blue.
Yeah.
They're printed in blue because the idea was that if you took one of those and put it onto a photocopier machine, it would not reproduce.
Nope.
It was an anti-piracy move by the jerks at TSR.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, you want to look at a couple more?
Let's do it. And hey, let me call out. So, you have it up here right now. I'm wearing the T-shirt.
Oh yeah, here it is.
I'm representing for tonight.
Oh yeah.
So folks who don't think Jog, Jog because the image that we have on the right here it went viral. They went viral in TTRPG worlds. This is one of several different versions that you've done of it, but I will let you describe what we're looking at on the right.
I will try again, and you can take over when my description is not sufficient. So, okay, talking about the image that's on your T-shirt, we have, and this is does not kind of do kind of the joke justice, I suppose, but we have a battered and bruised and almost dead soldier arrives along this isometric dungeon, and he finds a vending machine, and he's got like arrows stuck out his back, and there's blood everywhere, and he's a vending machine with potions in it. And so this
Clearly they're healing
has
potions,
a lever
aren't
because vending machines have levers. It's like
Of course they do.
they spin around if you get 3 potions in a row, and you win. Well, underneath this, there is obviously it's a trap, and underneath it there's like a pitfall trap and like a banner that says April Fools, balloons and everything.
And party balloons.
Party balloons, because it's
It
a
is
celebration.
the party balloons that gets me every time.
Right.
It's the party balloon.
It reminds me of something that you would have seen in like in Mad Magazine, you know, or like, you know, a comic you'd see in Dragon. But this is very, very it's funny. It's very lampoonish. I like it.
Yeah.
I think my inspiration for this kind of, so now I tried to reproduce this the next year after that, because that went viral, and then the next year after I tried to force it, but I woke up on April 1st. I woke up with this kind of idea in my head, and I had to run downstairs and then just like threw it out there, and yeah, it worked after that. No,
Okay.
I'm dried up. I'm a dried up husk in terms of my visual humor.
But yeah, this is now my first day T-shirt for every convention.
Oh,
This
nice.
is my official first day T-shirt because it's so great.
There is only 12 in existence.
What?
Oh yeah, because I don't like selling things. I'm a hopeless businessman.
I got a limited edition.
Oh yeah.
I'm wearing it. Oh, what am I doing? Put it in a case. Put it in a case. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Because I'm not like, I don't make T-shirts, and this is the first time. Turns out the lady who printed up the T-shirts, it was recommended by the organizers of GailCon.
Yeah.
She did their T-shirts as well. She just lives 5 minutes down the road from me.
Oh,
And we kind of like organized the kind of delivery. I said, I said, oh yeah, I'm in such and such town.
Yeah,
She's
it feels like it might be a transfer. I think she was printed and transferred onto the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in getting to the point of being able to make our own shirts. Peter, I did not, but I almost spent $1,200 on a direct to fabric machine this weekend. It was a print shop that was selling off all their stuff. These DTF machines let you print T-shirts basically on demand, and it was a $17,000 machine. They were only wanted $1,200 for it, but I looked up, all the maintenance and said no. But yeah, maybe screen printing. It is so much fun to make gear like this, but it's hard. All right, but we have a couple of things on here. So we're also looking at you have this whole kind of hex world.
Yeah, so I kind of got into just doing a bunch of historical maps.
Yeah.
And this is one of ancient Greece. So it's there's a bunch of larger hexes, and then everything is broken down into smaller hexes, and then I just kind of like averaged kind of the various city-states of ancient Greece.
Yeah.
And it's not historically accurate. It's like ancient Greece is not like an exact period where that could be the map. But I like the idea of it. And I like the idea of mapping kind of ancient worlds. I also
you've done something really cool here is you have 3 different scales of hexes in one map.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we have the large hex. Then we have, broken down into, there's like 5 hexes across, and each of those is broken into 5 hexes across.
Yeah, and each of the medium-sized ones, I'm guessing, are what, about They look like maybe 100 kilometers or so.
I have no idea. Here's the thing:
Yeah.
I'm a map maker, but I really don't. I don't care too much about scale, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So this format where I kind of took like a hex and then made it kind of almost, it's not really isometric. It'd be more kind of orthographic, I suppose is the term. When you just
Okay.
extend downwards, you should know this from,
Yeah.
yeah. But the, so the hex is an actual hexagon. It's not actually
Yeah.
tilted. And so I did
Oh, it is. I
Yeah.
see.
yeah. Because I want to, I could rotate everything, and it's just, and then it's a nightmare. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a hex map,
Yeah.
and then you can connect lots of hexes together and stuff. So I kind of ran a collab project where I kind of brought in loads of people, and they would come up with, and I kind of ran it through the Patreon. I'd like to do it again because it ran out of steam, and I started taking big commissions, which I says I can't do this anymore. But so we did one big hex map. Like one large scale hex map, and someone came up with the idea of the shape of it, and then we zoomed in on one of the hexes, and then we would map out each hex around like that.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I have that one. I think I have that one.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see it.
Oh,
Bring
yeah.
it up. Bring it up.
Ah,
Oh,
that's
it?
the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So what
I
we're
thought
looking
this was
at
really
again for
cool.
the audio, for the audio listener,
Go to
I'm gonna
Sorry.
Jog. I'm gonna let you read what's in the
Oh, no.
banner at the top.
Oh, I am not. Listen, whatever way you pronounce it is going to be better than my pronunciation, because the guy who came up with, I've done a bunch of maps for this guy, and all of his maps, all of his worlds, all of the names are impossible to pronounce. That's just
Wait, did he just make this up? Is this an
Well,
actual
I think
language? What are
there
we
is-
looking at?
No, I think there is some kind of like Welsh kind of influence for the lore of this world.
Okay,
So-
okay.
But yeah,
Well,
get a Welsh speaker to this. It's tears like sand, yeah. And actually,
yeah, I mean, the apostrophe made me wonder because Neil Stevenson, we mentioned him before, he coined a term called the apostrophe apocalypse. I can't say it. I can't say it
Apocalypse.
because he was making fun of an author who just basically did that thing where they put apostrophes in the middle of everything to make it sound fantasy.
Yeah.
All right. So we have something with Welsh inspired naming, maybe Welsh, maybe not. But we see a whole lot of different scales of different hexes here. They're going to form a hexagon of hexagons, whatever word I'm saying, and getting exploded views. It's very complex, but still at the same time usable. It's super neat. I don't know how to describe it. Watch the video.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
What is this thing?
Well, that was the idea. Like we had like a whole bunch of people, as someone kind of like, as their kind of idea voted for,
Yeah.
then they take ownership for that hex. But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they control everything in it. Someone else can come along and say, "Oh, that small hex on your hex, I want to come up with something." So they kind of create lore
Okay.
that goes down into, but it has to be signed off by whoever owns the hex above it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, because I was running through a Patreon,
So that the
I also
connection
had-
makes sense.
yeah,
Right. So it's a little bit it's a
you
little
can't
bit
just come
like
along-
the old it's a little bit like the old Dada art game of Exquisite Corpse, where each person just gets to do a little bit of the next person's.
Yeah.
Except here you actually can say no,
You have control.
That's not how they
Yeah.
connect.
You have creative control. So someone can't come along and build this huge tower that goes up to the stars on a tiny little hex,
Yeah.
because it has to already exist. But they
Yeah.
can come along to a hex that already has that, because you're going to decide what's on this area,
Right.
and build that. This is a project I've just realized I want to run again, and I need to do it in a more kind of democratic way, as opposed to running through my Patreon, which I gave little privileges to my patrons. And
Fair enough.
yeah, and also maybe involve other map makers. sort of. I did try to involve other map makers, but this needs to be maybe grab a bunch of map makers and get them all on the same page, and we'll run this project. We had a wiki for this at one point.
I mean, this is calling out for Alyssa Fadden and Dyson Logos to get involved.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
No, now context here. So when you and I first met, one of the things I called out was how good your hatching was, which we don't see so much hatching here. But then you said you actually had been talking to Dyson about it.
Oh yeah, we've had a like not talking, but we've spoken, words on various platforms, probably on Facebook.
Yeah.
You're
both part of the secret cabal of map makers.
Yeah, or not, because he shares his stuff online and he's very open with it. So, and I unashamedly I will, if I see a style I like the look of, I will try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same way, as I said, with Pat's Peculiar. His style has very much influenced me. And it's just, and that's what I say to anyone who wants to get into the hobby. Try it. Your stuff, it's only as good as how much time you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Many people are very critical. I've turned away clients. Well, not turned away. I've persuaded them to not come with me because their sketches are so good, but they don't give themselves the credit. They're like, "Can you map this?" And they give me a masterpiece, and I'm like, "Go away, use that." That is
nice.
No, but
you
already
did it.
Style. It's like, no, your style. Yeah,
right.
It's intimidating when someone approaches you and they have amazing skills. Yeah, I don't know. So we have the Intermundium Tavern. Okay.
Yes.
Which is another isometric, where there's a portal at the top of the bottom. It's like an intersection between the upside down and the right side up. But the boat. This is another one I made for a patron, and it's like the intersection between worlds.
That's cool.
Which is literally what Intermundium means.
Up through that little portal at the bottom, you will flip around and you're on the opposite side walking around. And that's what Intermundium, but I didn't name it. This is my patrons.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, when you want something to sound deep and important and fantasy, just say it in Latin and you're good to go.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And then
the other one.
So there'll be people on the ceiling, standing on the ceiling drinking.
Yeah.
Well, I say ceiling to those standing on what we're going to call the floor.
It's all relative, yeah.
So you look up and you go, "Oh, hey, I'll be up in a minute," and you just go step on this thing and you're up to the top.
Yeah. Or someone drunkenly flips upside down and now the other way around.
Yeah, that wouldn't be confusing when you're drunk at all. Nope.
No. And then I also included some portraits of the various royalty in this world as playing cards on the wall. So if you want to, I don't know if you can zoom in on that one.
I don't know how to do that.
That's all right. We'll imagine it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but I have portraits on the wall, and I tried to draw them so that if you flip them upside down, it's like a playing card. Where you have the king here. Yeah. And then I tried to also do one of those faces that, when you turn it upside down, it's another
scowling.
Face.
Yeah.
Oh, like when the duck becomes a rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah, or you have the one where it's like an old lady's face, but you flip it around and it's like a young girl's face.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I meant by duck becomes a rabbit.
Oh, I see. Right, I got you.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's that one where it's like it's all about the okay.
All right. Jog is making some very obscene gestures right now.
That's not obscene. That's like a victory pose.
That's the Greek victory pose. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a word, and sometimes I just get locked down. My brain says,
"Oh, we all
reboot.
Do." Yeah.
Blue screen of death.
Yes,
we are finished. We cannot find your word, and you're done." Yeah.
We can find no words.
It's all about relative. Yeah.
That's
relative.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we're looking at here is a very different approach. You get sort of slices of the world here that are coming off little pie slices.
Yeah, what is this? This looks cool.
Okay. So this was a project that another one of my patrons, because I was doing a lot of work for patrons. This is when I was like turning down commissions because I was just doing so much work for Patreon, till some of my patrons, as I said, thought they owned my time. And I said, well, I need to restructure here so that I'm kind of making money out of this and I can maybe make it into a job. But anyway, I was putting a lot of time into, so these were 3 worlds that I had mapped many maps for various patrons. These 3 worlds, one of the guys kind of set up a Discord, and the idea was there is this nexus where all of the worlds kind of like collide, and people could they could take turns DMing in their world, but use the same characters.
So it's sort of a little bit of a Planescape kind of a concept.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is like the intersection between 3 different worlds.
Yeah.
That happen to be in this kind of like infinite.
And we have the 3 worlds listed here. What? Devilust, Exetia, Mardunia.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I'm correct. Devilust. First of all, Devilust. Devilust. Yeah, come on, guys. We know what you're doing here. Exetia.
I think it's actually an anagram, but
maybe. And Mardunia.
Mardunia.
What are these little tunnels coming out of the ends of them?
So, like between the worlds, it's like kind of a train kind of. So you can kind of like enter into anywhere at different locations in the worlds. You can enter into this kind of like there's a train network running underneath, and
it's the astral train.
The astral train, nice.
So you're kind of like you get to the nexus point that from which all worlds connect to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'm going to switch to the next picture, but I have to step out for 1 second. Keep going.
All right. Give us another picture here. Okay. This one. Okay. So we've been talking about maps so far. This is much more getting into the art side of things because what we're looking at right now is something very representative. I'm going to put you on the spot again to kind of give a little bit of a description for the audio-only listeners, how to understand what they're seeing.
I think I can, because I have some text, because there's labels, I can find it a little bit easier. Okay, so this was a little bit later. And this was a commission for a game of. Have you heard of Pig Smoke?
Only because of you.
All right. Okay. So, I'm gonna have to.
Jog is going off to his. He's going to his shelf.
And I'm gonna have to expose my. I just have some Cubicle 7 stuff that I propped up because I've done maps for.
All right, he's coming back to us, and we are now learning that Jog does not wear pants on the internet.
I do. I wear shorts. What are you wearing?
I guess so.
And I'm wearing pants underneath my shorts.
Oh, right. See, there's the U.S. There's the U.S.-Ireland divide.
It's a Power by the Apocalypse game.
So are you saying that pants in Ireland is the same as pants in the UK? It's not trousers.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
but you can say trousers.
Right. So pants in the United States, for most of our listeners, that's just a pair of trousers, but in Ireland it's not.
Back.
I'm glad you're back, Peter, because I'm getting abused for not wearing pants. And you're wearing pants, not trousers. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm wearing a pair of shorts.
There you go.
It is my right.
Yes.
You wear shorts?
I am the top part of me. I just had to kind of go over and find a book.
Okay.
So
it could be worse. I saw a video of a police officer who had to testify in court, came on video, didn't know where his camera was sitting, wasn't wearing pants that day. It was just a crotch shot.
Nice.
So,
all right. What's this book?
Could have been worse. All right.
Pig Smoke. It's Power by the Apocalypse game. Have you encountered this one, Peter?
No, I have not.
Right. So Powered by the Apocalypse, you play.
Oh, I've played Power. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, PBTA is kind of commonplace, but let's bring back the widescreen. I want to see Pig Smoke.
Okay. Yeah. So the Pig Smoke. You
All right,
play.
it kind of looks like a folklore artwork on the front. It's cool.
Let me see.
Is it like a school setting? What's going on
Cover
there?
is Jackie Davis.
Yeah,
Okay, so
looks
you
kind of
are
like
the
a
head of a
science lab
department.
or something.
Yeah. So you're the head of a department of a modern, like a contemporary magical university,
Ah,
and you know it's hard work. You know, running your department, and so this is a map for this particular game that Ryan, who is the head of UK tabletop, sorry, not the head. I actually it is a director or something. I'm terrible with. I'm going
he's
to
in
get
charge of something.
of the UK tabletop industry network, which is a great kind of community.
Is that like the IGA or?
It's more a collection of creators and indie publishers.
Okay.
And they all kind of come under an umbrella and support each other, and it's a fantastic resource. And I've gotten very friendly with many of them.
Kind of like we're doing with the Analog Union, folks.
A little bit like that.
Nice. Yeah. So this is a representation of a campus, kind of one of your classic kind of neo-Gothic, neoclassical campus.
Yeah, it looks very much like a traditional campus with a green in the center and the things around it. Yeah.
And then and various departments kind of represented. The Department of Alchemy obviously is your kind of very sciencey one. They're going to have
very modern looking,
modern building. Then we have the dorms, and I'm not sure if you noticed. I have many famous sororities and what's that other thing? What's the
fraternities?
Fraternities. Yeah. From movie references, I have. That's a little Easter egg I threw in there.
Oh.
So the one from Revenge of the Nerds is in there. The one from
Lambda.
Which film is that from again?
Revenge of the Nerds.
Is that's Revenge of the Nerds? Is it?
I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah. I did some research and then I instantly forgot it all.
I forget what the ones were in Animal House. That's the only other place I can think of.
I think that's represented as well. Yeah. Animal House, and then what's that more recent one? Will Ferrell.
Old School.
Old School is in there as well.
Yeah.
So that's the dorms. We have. So what I enjoyed about this was playing around with various different styles of building. So you have your. I'm a big fan of neo-Gothic architecture.
Yeah.
And so actually maybe 3 of the buildings are neo-Gothic. Then you have your neoclassical, which is like your Capitol buildings and stuff like that. And then Art Deco for the student union. So it's just like playing around with what could the Department of Elements. That's burnt down to the ground. It's just a tent,
of course.
At this point,
of course.
That's awesome.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea behind it.
I like the sit for a spell cafe. That's perfect.
This is still my favorite map.
It's beautiful.
It's awesome.
It's still my favorite map, and I don't know why I haven't colored it yet, or got my daughter does my color work.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why I haven't colored it yet.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a world that could sit in Terry Pratchett's world. It could sit in the Umbrella Academy's world. It could sit in, more obvious ones like Hogwarts or whatever. But what I love about it, it just feels like a place I can go into.
And that's how I feel when I'm drawing it.
Yeah.
So there's like the artifacts and relics. Did I draw the hat? I was supposed to draw a hat. I was going to draw like an Indiana Jones hat on the ground, but I think I got that. But there's definitely traps there that you have to get by.
Right.
That was one of the things we discussed, but sometimes it kind of.
So there's a portal here, and so you, being a Dubliner, Dublin has a portal.
Oh yeah, this is before. It would have been before.
Oh really?
I think so.
So Peter,
it wasn't.
You might have seen these already, but there's these portals that are placed in cities around the world, and they're just these big things that look like what's in Jog's map right here.
Yeah.
And when you stand in front of one of them, it's video from another city somewhere else in the world that's live.
Cool.
It's
No
so
audio.
it's so obvious. You know how it's being done. There's a camera pointing at you. There's a big
Right,
circular video.
Yeah.
But you're standing in front of this thing, and then somebody in Lithuania or Japan or wherever is on the other side, and they're just walking by waving at you, and it just feels like magic. It really
That is
does.
awesome. That's what we should. That's where our technology should have been doing. We should have been doing more stuff that made life feel like magic. Unless,
there's a portal in Dublin downtown near the Spire, and this portal is here in this place. So what happens to the portal in this map?
Oh, well, so and funny enough, this is not influenced because I don't think the portal was installed when I drew this map.
Fair enough.
And I'm now thinking maybe they copied my design for the portal.
Oh,
I
clearly.
don't know. I might be, due a little bit of a kickback from that.
You are clearly owed royalties.
Well, this portal is obviously, and I haven't tried walk through the portal in Dublin, but I'm not going to try because surely using some sort of eldritch technology that you can arrive to either side. But will I be the same person when I arrive there?
No, but it's worth it.
It is, yeah. But the idea is, there's a portal that you can walk through.
Peter, do we have some convention maps? Because I want to talk about that. I know we're running a little bit long here. We
got this one. It's another one of these blowout types maps.
Yeah.
Convention map.
Jog, you gave us access to so much of your artwork, and I just kept on.
Oh yeah,
this.
This is honestly, I'm the same. I can't choose. If you told me send me 5 maps, you get no maps off me.
Yeah.
So I said, here's a folder.
Right.
Find some stuff yourself. And so
here we have an inverted pyramid. We have some sort of science fiction fantasy airship factory. It looks like a shipyard, but it's for airships. Yeah. Let's keep going through because I want to keep an eye on our time here. Let's see if we can get to the convention maps.
Linda in the comments did say I have a ghost behind me.
You do,
and it actually delivered the GailCon booklet, and which brings us, it's a nice segue into the convention maps.
Oh, there we go.
There
we go.
Which, by the way, North was on the wrong side for the map. I got lost for the first hour.
North was on the wrong side of which map?
for the GailCon map. The GailCon entrance is at the top, but that's the south.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. I found my way around.
That was there was a reason why I angled it that way. I was considering it the other way, and I flipped it all around.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think it was just, it looked nicer to me this way.
It does.
Also, North does not exist. It's just a
construct.
I rotate maps all which ways. You know what I mean?
If you look at the history of maps throughout the world, there's no consensus that any particular cardinal direction belongs at the top. All the European maps in the Middle Ages were done with east at the top and west at the bottom.
So, what Jason is complaining about here is I have my entrance coming from the top. And actually, did you get your compass out and check which way was north when you were in?
You have got me. I did not.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go.
I might be right here. I can work it out if I give myself because I can tell which way it's facing. The actual hotel is facing south. So the entrance, let me see, is facing south.
Yes, it is.
Yes, so, it is.
But
does that mean I'm right?
No, it means you're wrong. But but the important thing is, so the hotel for GailCon, beautiful hotel, wonderful people, wonderfully set up, but the rooms are a little bit dispersed. And I was able to find my way around very easily even though this is a beautiful convention map that looks wonderful. It also was actually useful. I was able to find my way pretty damn easily, except for the fact that the toilets were not actually open pits. So
they weren't like bogs. You see,
yeah, you lied.
A slang for a toilet in Ireland is the bog.
Yeah, and same in England. It's the same in England. Yeah,
and this is a bog.
Yeah,
it's a marshy kind of area. Yeah.
Wait, do you actually do you call a toilet paper roll a bog roll?
The bog roll. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that it seems like every single convention in Ireland has had a jog map.
Not Leprechaun. I've been at them.
Get on that.
I know I am. I talked just at the end of GailCon. I had the whole bunch of them. I have the RPG team as well. So, and I know you're coming to Leprechaun, aren't you?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah. So, and they also tell me that I believe that maps is the theme this year.
Really?
So, yeah, gotta get
maps is the
maps
theme.
going, yeah. I've really wanted to make the Leprechaun map because there's some great architecture there that I can use.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's at Trinity College, right?
Yeah.
Oh well, shit. Yeah.
So,
I mean, Trinity College for anybody who doesn't know, it's the oldest school. It's the oldest university, right?
do you have pictures of the? No, I actually didn't include them in that folder, but I did give you the interactive maps. Have you got?
I'm downloading. I didn't download the other folder because I just didn't get to it because I was.
I don't think
running a little late, but I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right now. So keep talking.
These ones are online. So if you go to GailCon 36.
Okay.
conmaps.com.
Yeah.
You'll get the interactive map for previous year.
Ooh.
And I did that one as isometric. And I've pivoted to this 1-point perspective map this year because to make it a usable map that you can rotate. Last year, only the gamers could actually navigate using the map. my wife was gonna. She came in and like my daughter was with us, and she's like, "Oh, where are the toilets?" She's like, "Ma'am, look, it's here. You rotate her, and this is the way you go." Like. She doesn't have that brain, that gamer brain where you can just like navigate,
rotate it in 3D space in your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of a different kind of skill.
So now
I had a boss one time was like, he says to me, he's like, Peter, I kind of need you to think in 3D. I was like, who the hell are you talking to? I can think in 3D. I can think in 4D.
4D, yeah.
Who are you talking to?
I can barely think in 2D. So you guys have me beat.
I mean, I used to design stuff in 3D. Like, what do you mean?
So now, Jog, you're doing all of these things. It just seems like you're incredibly busy. Are you still taking commissions? I mean, are people still able to come to you and say, "Take my money, please"?
I kind of work fast. I mean, I do kind of get my stuff done when I kind of get motivated. I see every map I make, I'm excited. Because if the client is excited, the first map I made for another person, I got this kind of positive feedback loop, and I realized this is what I want to do.
Right.
You're making maps for players; they just go, "Oh, cool, let's go this way," off the map.
Right.
It's just like, so when I get that positive feedback loop. And someone is passionate about this project that they're giving me, then I want to do it. So that kind of like pushes me. So I am taking commissions. And people can reach out on jogbrogzin.com if you can spell it correct. If you can't spell it correctly, then forget about it.
Well, how can you? I mean, look, Brogzin, you might think, "Oh, how am I going to spell that?" But how could you spell it wrong?
Oh, you could, yeah.
Could you?
I've had many people call me Joe because they just drop the G and add an E.
Don't do that. People don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, people. And okay. So I asked you before the show if we could address the topic, and so I will address the topic because Jog is not your given name; it's the name you're known by in the gamer circles. Tell us how you got the name Jog.
Okay, so my son, he is 23. When he was 4. As all 4-year-olds want to do, they grab pieces of paper, stick them together first, and then they say, "I'm going to make a comic book." Mm-hmm. And the title of this comic book was Jog Brogzin and the Dungeon of Death. And then he went on, age 4, and then he went and made this comic book. And to me, it was like Dirk Diggly. I saw it in neon lights. I had that moment, not for me. I just thought, this is so amazing. You know what I mean? This is something my son created. A few years later, my brother-in-law, makes movies, and that's kind of what he does. He's actually making movies for. Well, I actually won't say, because then that would make a kind of real-world connection.
Yeah.
But he would come home and he would just make crappy little movies with my with his brothers and with my son. And this one, he was big into, Day of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, they're my
So
favorites.
my son was like, every time there's like less people and more zombies, this is traveling one direction. Eventually it has to be Man of the Dead. So he made this crappy little movie, and he just says, okay, you're going to be Jog Brogzin. It's Jog Brogzin is Jog Brogzin in Jog Brogzin's Man of the Dead.
Yes.
And so it was just so cheesy. It was just like me going around. Every shot, I had a different gun in my hand, and he was going to town with After Effects. It was just really kind of real cheesy. You know what I mean? It was a big family effort. That was the first time I became Jog Brogzin, but I didn't really think about it. It was only when I, wanted to post kind of stuff online or create an Instagram account. I was just thinking, I don't want to use my real name because, it may be a fine exotic name to other people, but to me, it doesn't sound like the explorer that I become when I put ink to the page.
Yeah.
And to me, that's Jog Brogzin. And I said to my son, is that okay? And he's like, whatever, that's so lame. It's like,
Right.
I'm embarrassed. I, as you would say in Dublin, I'm scarlet for you. I mean, I'm scarlet. The color of your cheeks turns scarlet for you because I'm just embarrassed for you.
There is a photo of, I don't remember the name. Who's the singer for Slayer? Well, anyway, there's a photo of Slayer, and the singer is standing there with his teenage kids, and they're both just looking so embarrassed. They have to be next to their dad. And it's just like, even if you're the lead singer of Slayer, you are lame to your teens.
Yeah. I think it's a rule. I think it's a rule because, like, my daughter, I can't do anything cool in front of my daughter. It's just not a thing.
No,
like,
forget about it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine though.
Tom Araya. That's it. Tom Araya. But
so, he has this thing where he throws out. He just like does a clear out of everything. Never seen it. Like he's a fan of, is it Maria Kondo or something or whatever?
Maria Kondo.
Kondo, yeah. But sometimes just does a clear out of everything, and that comic book cannot be found. Oh. So he has no legal basis to sue me for taking the name.
He's got no proof.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know,
great.
but I will readily admit, it was his name. He came up with some great names back in the day. Some that have become not recurring characters, but like I just struggle with names that I'll just grab a name and I like Harold Vertantmanger is a name I've used for many.
Vertantmanger.
Harold Vertantmanger.
Of course.
That's just a character that is just like, okay, I need a name. This character is Harold Vertantmanger as well. It's just like many a time.
That sounds, I swear to God, it sounds like a Monty Python name for like a character. Like, who's your manager? And he says that name, and you're just like, ow, that name is painful. Like,
it was kind of coming across to me as a little bit of a Seinfeld name,
could be
Art Vandelay. Oh man. So the point that I was going to get to was, if people want to commission you, and I should say that quietly because I think we want to come and commission you. We don't want to be too busy, but if people want to commission you, how do they do it? How do they get a hold of you?
As I said, if you go to jogbrogzin.com, you can contact me there. I'll always answer, messages on Instagram. or Blue Sky.
Great.
Right.
So I'm Jog
Great.
Brogzin in all those
Yeah.
places, or
And
Facebook if anyone is still using that. But
yeah, and if you try and get a hold of him, and for some reason you're like, I just can't get the name right or whatever, contact us. We'll hook you up.
Absolutely.
no, you're just if someone can't get my name right,
All right.
Well, then F
I
them.
don't
Right.
want to work with them.
All right.
You.
Then you know what? Good luck.
No.
Good luck, because if you come to us, we're gonna tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
yeah. That's disgraceful.
Right. You will have to get through our filter first, but yes.
Yeah,
Or filter
or
fish.
You can also put maybe it in the show notes or whatever.
We could actually
It
do
might
that.
be in the
Yeah,
show
yeah,
notes. Yeah.
We could actually do that. Oh,
Wait.
Brian is joining the chat and I'm going, did you guys start early? Yes,
Yes, we
Brian,
did.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
We didn't.
Sorry, Brian.
We will get way
Okay.
better at this whole promoting things ahead of time. But at least
It's only
the
1
videos stay
a.m.
up.
Let's restart. Let's go back to the beginning.
Should we just do it all from the beginning for Brian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. Welcome to
Right.
what's the show called? I forgot.
Right.
Tabletop Weekly.
Right.
And this is the end. All right. We have now hit 2 hours. That's got to
Yep.
be the end.
That's it.
Jog, thank you so much for
Yeah.
staying up late with us to
It's a
do
pleasure.
this. Thank you for correcting the pronunciation of
If
Go
I
on.
corrected it correctly, then
Smittix.
Smittix.
There
All
you
right,
go.
Smittix.
that's how
All
I
right.
pronounce it. Yeah.
Smittix, the best beer. And we will see you in March in Dublin.
Yep.
For Leprechaun at
Yep.
Trinity College. Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. And subscribe to us, like us, send us gifts, write our names under bridges, do whatever you need to do. We have been Tabletop Weekly. Thank you very much and good night.